Don't be alarmed. The quasi-shimmering light before you is a trans-dimensional gateway to other worlds, other voices, other thoughts, and other realities. Up feels like down, and down feels like the number 7 on a Wednesday morning. Don't worry. That quivering, blood-boiling sensation under your eyebrows is all a part of the charm. Welcome to the PCC Multiverse.
And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for joining us right here at the PCC Multiverse, which is the pop culture cosmos. Make sure you go ahead and hit that like, the subscribe, that 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Plus, I don't say this often enough, but if you are out there listening to us on one of the great radio stations, first off, to those radio stations, thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of your schedule. And then to those listening on the radio stations, to those watching us on YouTube, to those listening to us all over on podcast outlets worldwide, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to check us out right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, the PCC, of course. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend, indeed, a compadre in crime. It is, of course, Monday for Josh Peterson. He is the criminal there with me, but the guy here is not a criminal. Indeed, he is a mastermind, an evil mastermind in the realm of pop culture. He is, of course, a guy who's been with us many years now on the Pop Culture Cosmos. It is, of course, TJ Johnson. What's up, man?
What's up, man? You know, you're talking about years. We've been doing this what, four or
Off
5
and on,
years
because
now?
remember, you were off and
Off and
on,
on, yeah,
sprinkling in. You didn't
yeah.
hop on full time
I didn't get
until
consistent, yeah.
Yeah, I know Melinda Barkhouse Ross, who came back a couple months ago for our annual rock and roll thing. She was getting she was doing it regularly. She's gotten a job in the radio industry since, I think, a couple jobs in the
Really?
radio industry.
That's
In the industry,
awesome.
yes. So I'm really happy for her success. And doing so, she could not commit the time to us, which is absolutely fine. And TJ said, "You know what? Slide right in. Slide right in, indeed." So it's great to have you
I'm
here.
happy to help, man. Happy to help,
Uh,
bro.
I feel like in many ways, you and I just absolutely we like Josh, like you just we're an outlet for what happens in pop culture because we can always talk sports with people. We can always talk certain things, but we don't have always that many people in our lives that we can talk everything when it concerns pop culture. I could talk with my eldest daughter about certain things. I could talk in pop culture, my youngest about other things in pop culture, my wife about other things in pop culture. But there are certain things only you and I and me and Josh can discuss. And it's always great to do so on a weekly basis. So this is my therapy per se. And I hope it is for you as well.
It's very cathartic, G. It's very, very cathartic. You know, we're living in a time where, we're getting older. I'll be 42 this year. 40 something,
42
whatever.
was such a good year.
Well, it's
15
been an
years
okay year.
ago.
41 has been an okay year so far, so I'm looking forward to 42. But my point is, recently I found that a few classmates of mine that I've known since grade school had both, had passed in the last 6 months, um, which is startling, but also very eye-opening, from the standpoint of, we're not getting younger and we're getting to that stage in life where things are going to start to kind of catch up, and you're going to be looking at parents getting older, and people that you once knew no longer being here, and it's hard to imagine some of those things. So I say all that to say I'm grateful for the opportunities that we get to spend talking about the things that we talk about. And even when you and I have conversations, I know we're completely off the track right off the gate of the show, but even when you and I have conversations that aren't necessarily related to pop culture, or when we bounce things off each other and we just kind of talk it, those kind of opportunities are very much appreciated. So I want you to know personally, from me to you, how grateful I am, for the opportunity to be on this show, for the opportunity to have these exchanges, these one-on-ones, these conversations, and sometimes even debates where we may not always agree 110%, but I'm grateful for the opportunity, because we don't know how far we are in line, because we're all in line to go to the same place, and we just don't know how far ahead of the line we are. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here. Thank you. And looking forward to a great show.
The thing is also as well, I thought about this the other day, and I told Josh this. This is also a time capsule for what
Yeah.
went on in our world, our society, but also for my children and if I have grandchildren or descendants down the line that want to know more about me, and they don't want to hear over 1,500 episodes of the Lakers Fast Break and don't want to hear anything about basketball. They can hear the over 1,000 episodes. I think it's 1,000. Let me just do my quick math real quick. It's not good radio, everyone. I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry to say that, but 485 times 5 plus 507. So we're at 992 here. So we're almost 1,000 episodes on this specific platform, the Pop Culture Cosmos. So with that, they have at least almost 1,000 opportunities to hear us talk, whether it's you, Josh, Melinda, anybody else that I've brought on to the show or has wanted to come on to the show. We've talked so much about the world of pop culture and it relates to the world around them. And, they can hear my thoughts on it. And it's like a time capsule. So if your children or your grandchildren want to know more about you when you die of old age at 145, it's,
Oh,
I'm sorry. Was that
I
too
think I'm
young?
okay. That's gosh. Wow. I want to be able to still say I have full function of everything. If once those things start to go,
Well, you
I'm
never know.
okay.
Advances in medicine, could be like we watch in the films, just like sometimes they have those futuristic
Oh
type
man.
movies and where how old are you? I am
Put my
182.
put
But
my
I'll just
put
say
my
this.
mind into a 20-year-old body.
There you go. Absolutely. I'm sure that will be tried somewhere down the line. I will just say this. This is something that I can leave behind.
Yeah.
You can leave monetary things behind. You can leave physical possessions behind. But one of the wonderful things about the digital world is that you can leave these things behind and they'll be out there in the air somewhere in the
Yeah.
digital format, the digital realm for someone to go ahead and listen to down the road. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity as well. So enough of the sentimentality. We get to the fact that it is Memorial Day weekend 2026 that we're heading upon as this airs. And it all starts off with what's coming up in the movies. And of course, Memorial Day weekend, it's one of the more, used to be more important in the past. Now it kind of still a big thing as far as for the movies, but not as big as it once was. But there's still some things on tap. And the most important of which is by Disney looking to get any kind of success after Lilo and Stitch this time last year. It is now this year with Star Wars Mandalorian Grogu evolving from the television series. And you're already shaking your head. I can already tell what you're going to say on that. It's evolved from the television series to the film. And I know that when the numbers come out on Monday and Tuesday, and then when we talk about it, Josh and I, after the Memorial Day weekend, we will talk about how it compares to the other Star Wars movies on as far as down the line. But before we get into the reviews, before we get into all that, the reasoning why they did this in the first place, and if it was a good move in the first place, should you judge this film alongside the other Star Wars movies because it has those two words in front of it? Or should you judge this as like you would a Downtown Abbey that moves from for their final episodes, the final episode goes to film, or a Game of Thrones film that's going to come out because we know already heard HBO is going to do a Game of Thrones film at some point. Should we go ahead and judge it by, and that's what I've been going back and forth on these past few weeks. Should we judge it by the fact that it's a TV show jumping into the movie theater instead of comparing it to the Star Wars brethren and kin that you could as far as from movies past?
I think you can kind of go both ways with that. I know that's not really a definitive, one way or the other, but I understand the appeal One, we're talking about the movies, and I know that you and I have had conversations about how much life theaters have left, and we've had conversations about the the fact that some things just don't need to be seen in the theaters, the fact that some things do need to be seen in the theaters. I think that what we everyone can agree is that there's something special about a movie going experience, and especially when it's something that you are truly locked in for. And so, with all that, I think that I can understand why they would have wanted to release this theatrically, to try to get that excitement back, that awe-inspiring, that feeling of being there, that feeling of that experience, that cathartic experience that it can sometimes be. However, I would be very, very cautious to put this up there with actual Star Wars film releases. That's not what this is. This is just a big screen for the Mandalorian and Grogu. That's what this is. It's just a big screen for a TV show, and I think we have to keep that in perspective when we're talking about what the numbers are ultimately going to look like for it, um, because that's what a lot of people are going to equate it to. Whether we think it's necessary or not, it really is just a TV show that they're putting on a big screen format, no different than putting, like you said, the last episodes of whatever show, Stranger Things, whatever they want to put on there. The Boys, I've heard that they're talking about putting that in theaters for the last episode or
Yeah, that will
whatever.
be actually as we're recording this, it is going up as we speak on theaters.
So there. So yeah, with that being said, it's something that I've seen them do, but I just don't. I wouldn't. I wouldn't put that on the same plane. No.
Okay.
Nope.
I don't think I would either, but just be prepared to see how it measures up, because already the projections financially see it not measuring up to even Solo, a Star Wars story, which is the worst money making film of these entire Star Wars set. So be prepared for that, because that's what you're gonna see in the articles with all the different gotcha headlines, seeing it compared as the worst Star Wars movie. And again, but I see it as something that was a television show that's done well, especially in the first two
Mhm,
seasons. Third season,
mhm,
critically, it's took a different beat. I'll say that. I think it should have stayed in as far as where it was on television. I
mhm,
think they got a little greedy with it. I think they saw the
mhm.
success of Baby Grogu primarily, as far as it's concerned, and how much money they've made over the years on Baby Grogu since the adoption of Mr. Baby Yoda by Mandalorian on that series. But
Right.
I really think that they were a little bit too big for their britches, for lack of a better term. I think that John Favreau and Dave Filoni, the new heads of Star Wars, taking place of Kathleen Kennedy, although she did greenlight this while she was still in power. This was being filmed. The changeover took place, uh, or this movie had already been filmed and shot before the actual final Kathleen Kennedy walking out type deal, as far as that's concerned, or retiring, whatever you want to say.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
I just think it was just too much. I think that when they proposed this with the Bob Iger, the whole 9 yards, everybody from the previous Disney generation still has
mhm.
to own it for saying yes to this film. The Last Starfighter with Ryan Gosling, that's its own thing. We'll talk about that in a year, because we'll see if that what they should have done with that one. That one may be more a traditional movie coming for going forward. But with this one, they should have kept it into a season and keep on doing what they're doing. But this also does not bode well for a Thrawn movie, which was also heavily rumored about the Ahsoka timeline, as far as that's concerned as well. And I'm thinking that might be a smart move, because if they see the failure for this one this weekend, they won't do the same thing with Thrawn, and they'll just put that and focus that for Disney Plus.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move as well. I think it's so funny. We talk about certain characters, and I remember when Kylo Ren was, shown and being the main antagonist in, Rise of Skywalker or whatever they called it, The Force Reawakens or The Force Awakens. Anyways, the last trilogy of Star Wars films. When he was shown, everybody was not really a fan. You know, Baby Vader, he was just another reincarnation of an old idea. And what I found very interesting is that they had this idea for a spinoff where with the Knights of Ren, and they kind of went into a little bit more of his backstory. And they decided to cancel that. They decided that that's not going to be something that people want to see. But we want to see, you know, baby Yoda and the Mandalorian go on adventures and adventures and adventures. And that sounds like a great idea. Let's do a whole series on that. Let's even do a second season. Let's even put part of that. Let's even put it in the movie theaters. Like, I don't understand the train of thought because I absolutely would have enjoyed to see the Knights of Ren story played out. I would have enjoyed to see that. I would have enjoyed to see how Kylo Ren became Kylo Ren, or how we lost Ben Solo, or however you want to spin it. It would have been fascinating to see that. I think that there needs to be a complete reimagining, reinvention, retooling of what the Star Wars property is and what it means. I mean, we're dangerously close to being as relevant as Star Trek. And I don't mean that to sound as negative as it probably did, but we understand you and I have had multiple conversations about, you know, the trajectory of Star Trek and where it's going and, you know, where it came from. And I feel like Star Wars, if it continues to go down this path of quantity over quality, we're going to end up kind of in the same category. And that's the scary part because I truly do love Star Wars. I've been a Star Wars fan since I was a little kid. I'm still a Star Wars fan to this day. I still dream of lightsaber battles, and I'll still catch a really cool clip on YouTube or TikTok of a cool lightsaber battle and looking at the different styles. And I can still point out a couple different styles that I see. So I'm a fan. I'm always going to be a fan. But I think that they really need to re retool, reimagine, whatever it is they got to do. But they have to find a way to modernize it and make it something that's more appealing to the newer generations. You know, no longer the millennials or the Gen Xers. You know, now you have to go on to the new generations and try to find a way to appeal to them too. So. No, I don't think it was a good idea. I agree with you. And I hope that they truly do reconsider doing some of these things. Obviously, new leadership now, so we'll kind of see.
We'll see, but again, I just I would love to be in those rooms. And we talked about when we took over Disney. I would just sometimes they need people in there just with common sense and just to say, you know what, I just don't think that's a good move. Look at the numbers for Mandalorian. They were stronger in season 2, faded a little bit in season 3, and it's like, okay, with that losing momentum, any momentum loss is not good, especially if you plans to make and the thing is, when you make this type of movie, is this closure for this series? Nobody's mentioned that. If it was closure for this series, then you would be advertising it such, and then we'd be all good. But they obviously eyed trying to go ahead and make this a movie franchise going forward. And again, Disney sometimes does some things that make you just scratch your head, and seeing what they had with a successful series, because they don't have a lot of successful series. I mean, Daredevil Born Again season 2 critically was all over the place. Punisher one shot was a one shot deal with, I don't know if you watched that, but it's 45
Oh,
minutes.
I watched it.
Yeah, I watched it too. It was there. Had one of the worst visual effects shots since PlayStation 1, but outside of that, it was there. I'm assuming I don't know what purpose it served, and I'll just leave it at that. As far as what's the goal outside of just John Bernthal wrote it, you could feel his pain, and as far as that's concerned, for 45 minutes. But where does it go from here? How does that lead you into Spider-Man Brand New Day as far as his interaction in the film? Or should it have showed Sadie Sink's Jean Grey character start the manipulation process with him? And if just have been something there that gives you something as far as the concern. I went off on a tangent with Punisher One Last Kill, but I'm giving it the 5 minutes it deserves and no more than that. And I'll leave it. It was there. It was there. It wasn't terrible,
We have
wasn't
to
great, and it was just there.
we have to be okay with that though, G. I think we've been so conditioned to expect everything to tie in. We've been so conditioned to expect this to touch this and this to touch this and to give little Easter eggs from that. And shame on us for engorging ourselves on that type of content.
But I
Shame
want to
on the
be
media for giving
rewarded
it
for
to
actually
us.
seeing it. I want, or at least give me
Absolutely.
a
I
reason
don't
to
think
see
that's
it.
because you want to see the Punisher. I watched it because I wanted to watch the Punisher. I absolutely look. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing John Barenthal and all his hurt and all his agony and all his frustration. I enjoyed seeing him mow through people. Was it over the top? Absolutely. Was some of the visual effects done that was a little cringeworthy? Yeah, that shot come falling from the roof was pretty bad. No
You
doubt.
knew
No doubt.
exactly what I was talking
No,
about.
of course I did. Of course I did. No doubt. It was pretty bad. But I didn't go into it expecting this incredible storytelling event where, the worlds of the Marvel TV shows and the worlds of the Marvel films are going to combine and form this one cohesive thing. I wasn't expecting that. And I don't think a lot of people did. It was a one shot, one kill type deal and just kind of gave us a chance to see what the Punisher's been up to or have a little bit more time with him since they hadn't been another Punisher series and he was un, un, unceremoniously missing from Daredevil Born Again season two.
Yeah, I just left. He
I'm not
left the
sure.
cage and he's like, see ya.
Yeah, he's like,
And that was it.
I'm out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
so that was
explanation or just you were just going to take over his place and hang out at his
yeah.
place. There you go.
So no doubt. I mean, I guess I can understand wanting to have that, but everything doesn't for me. I'm of the stage. I'm of this frame of mind where it doesn't all need to be connected. It doesn't need to also always tell a coherent story. This could just be a one-off, like a Elseworld story or just a day. We don't know where in the timeline that one took place. Maybe there was a seed that was sowed there that we may not see played out until Spider-Man Brand New Day. We don't know. But for what it was worth, I think it was just a fun ride through the life or the mind or the psyche, if you will, of Frank Castle and to understand exactly how far or how close he was to not being with us and to see kind of his motivations for wanting to continue to take up the mantle and fight. So I
Okay.
enjoyed
Well,
it.
to me, it was there. It was, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't get out and really a whole lot out of it, but I didn't say it
Yeah.
was
No.
terrible just outside of that visual
Yeah.
shots at the end of it. I mean, he's a very angry dude and I guess there's no police around as far as just when there's a
That
massive
was
riot
crazy.
in a certain
That
just
was
let's just have a massive.
crazy.
We just gotta talking about suspending belief. Yes,
Yeah.
while Kingpin is just like tearing up things in the other borough of New York, there's just this other riot going on in that different borough there. No, nobody's paying attention. It's just all good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
police are just whatever. Where are the Avengers? Where are the Avengers? They're just missing. MIA, man.
Doctor Strange,
They were
where does he
blipped. They
live?
were blipped. They were
Yeah.
blipped. Yeah.
Yeah, they were blipped. I guess so. So, all right. But again, you have to suspend your belief a long way when
You
it
do.
comes to one last kill. And then again, Daredevil season 2, Born Again was there. Ups and downs with it. I'll just leave it with that. And it ended on a note. I'll just leave it at that again. I
You
I
didn't
thought
like
it was
that either? Oh man, gee.
it's the I could just say the ending was all right, but I just
Okay.
there were filler episodes. There were filler
Of
episodes that
course. Of
that
course.
were just not that great.
Of
The
course.
boxing episode where of course spoilers where Kingpin's suffers a death that's close to him. That was a good episode. The episode where they
Mhm.
free everybody from the cages. Spoilers again.
Mhm.
That was a good episode. But there are some not so good episodes in this season, and I think that lets down the season as a whole. But it ends up with a kind of like the battle you want to see between Daredevil and Kingpin, and as they just senselessly maim, uh, I guess protesting citizens and police officers and get away with it right and left, which is just again suspending disbelief.
Yeah, you do.
But somehow for his past crimes, for nothing he did there recently. All good, but what he did in the past, spoilers again, Daredevil, it catches up with him, and then somehow
Yeah, but
Kingpin,
not
all the stuff
Kingpin.
that you did, we're just okay.
Yeah,
You can go to the beach, my
I
friend.
would
Have fun at the
I would never
beach.
say that it was. I would never say that it is going to win
Get a
any,
pina colada while you're there.
Pulitzer prizes, or not Pulitzer prize. That's for reading, but it's not going to get any Golden Globes or any
No.
nominations for things of that nature. But I don't think that I've ever seen a show that didn't have down episodes in a season. I don't think I've ever seen one show that there was never a filler episode. Not that I can recall anyway. So the filler episodes don't bother me. They still progress the story. They just may not be as everything else going on. The filler episodes don't bother me at all. I actually thought season 2 was pretty darn good.
Well,
If
I'm just gonna leave
I
it at, I'll just leave it at this. Getting back to it, I just think that a fourth season of Mandalorian would have been better than what we're going to be seeing, or what I'm going to be seeing this weekend. Does that make sense?
yes, the one
Because
hundred
I think
percent,
Disney Plus
one
needs
hundred
it.
percent.
I think Disney
Yes.
Plus needs it. To be quite honest with you, I think they need an influx of new content that a lot of people will go ahead and see, and I think that's one of your marquee franchises. And when you take them
Right.
away and you put them on in a film format, that takes it away from a regular viewing on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go as far as saying that they need it. They have quite a bit of other content, and again, most households have a subscription to Disney Plus. Especially if you have little kids. So I don't know if I would necessarily say that they need it. I think they needed to justify its existence for elder millennials, and our generations before us who want that kind of content. So for people that don't have young kids, sure, that's what they need to. They need to find other ways to bring people's attention to it. But other than that, they've got enough on there where if they didn't put out another Star Wars thing, they would be just fine.
So that's the number one movie right there coming out this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, is Mandalorian and Grogu. If you have thoughts on that, we'd love to hear them right here at Pop Culture Cosmos. I did want to go ahead and say that I Love Boosters and Passenger are the other wide releases this weekend. Of course, Michael regained the number one spot. Of course, there's also Devil Wears Prada 2. Will also, as well, the Super Mario Galaxy movie get enough a momentum to eke over the $1 billion mark? There's still a lot of questions that are out there that will probably be answered. So there's still really good things to see out there, but we'll wait and see exactly what happens with Mandalorian and Grogu. Most of the eyes will be on Mandalorian and Grogu, but I think there's a lot of knives that are being sharpened by journalists from all these trade sites and whatnot that are just cannot wait to go ahead and talk about the demise of Star Wars here on Monday morning. Or at Sunday morning when they already know the advanced numbers. So I have a feeling they're already got their knives sharpened right now.
Oh yeah. They're just looking for a reason. They got it. Of course and of course they do.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. But again, it is, of course, Star Wars, The Mandalorian, and Grogu. But I Love Boosters is also coming out this weekend. Want to go ahead and mention that one as far as a Kiki Palmer and a group of individuals as far as looking at that, as far as from the scene, as far as shoplifters going after a specific target. As a story, Demi Moore, I believe, is the target that they're all looking at as far as this crime. Maybe it's a different version of Ocean's 11, but still looks like it's going to be a fun movie. So go ahead and check it out there. And then also Passengers, as far as I guess some people witnessed a car accident or a vehicular incident of some type, and then I guess it comes back to haunt them. Is the premise of that one, I believe, in Passengers. So the weekly horror movie, I guess, is going to be out there for you. So if you have thoughts on any of the movies you're going to check out, although Obsession seems to have done well in its first weekend, don't worry. I won't force you to stay on this show by going ahead and using a wish box on that, because that didn't turn out well for the dude in Obsession. If you watch the commercials. But if you have thoughts out there on what's coming up at the Memorial Day box office, please let us know. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, 1/2 hour down, 1/2 hour to go here on the show. It is TJ Johnson along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening, my friend. PlayStation. Again, in the annals of history, there's going to be like 50 years down the line, somebody looking at the console gaming industry, and they're just going to say, with all the things that PlayStation has done in the last or in this decade, let's just leave it in this decade, they kind of did things, everything, most things right in the PlayStation 4 era. But in this PlayStation 5 era, they're going to say, how in the heck did they gain a hold of the big market share as far as it's concerned? At one time, Xbox really could have had an advantage had they just figured things out. And you and I have gone on hours of tirades about that over the past 2 years, as far as it's concerned, when we talk about what Xbox has done as far as the mistakes that they've made. But when it concerns Sony and PlayStation, 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 PlayStation. Uh, they just do not want your money in many ways. I don't get it. I don't understand it. This week they announced price hikes to their PlayStation Plus program. It's a little incremental thing, but still, this is still read the room. Read the room, PlayStation. Didn't you
Yeah.
see with Nintendo, raising their price of the Switch 2 coming in September? You saw the flack from that. No, not really. I guess not. We're just going to go raise it even more. And then also confirming that none of their single player games going forward are heading to PC. So let's just go ahead and say that's fine. And that's fine making them exclusive. That's a decision. I'll leave it at that,
Mhm.
even though PC marketplace is actually of the any of the console parts, the PC market seems to be doing the most healthy, or it's the most healthy right now. But your thoughts on PlayStation? Because a long time ago, when the Xbox One was announced, and they had the
Mm,
show after, I believe it was at the Los Angeles
mm,
Memorial Sports Arena. Um, they came on and they read the room. They
mm.
showed people that the DRM was not something that they were going to go and do. They said that you could still share your disc. They still said you didn't have to attach a connect with it. They read the room right, and they won that generation on that day. I'm convinced with them and the way what Don Matrix said right after, they won that generation on
Oh
that
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Flash forward years later, and they're not reading the room right now. Now it's arrogance because they have such a large lead and they don't really have competition, if unless you were talking about Nintendo Switch 2 right now. It's just
That's
reading the
it.
room. And at some point in time,
That's
you're
it.
not going to read the room so much to the point that in the next generation, the PlayStation 6 and whatever Xbox is doing, the Helix, whatever, it might not be such a domination next time around.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's no other way to really put it. It's simple arrogance. They have a market share. They've got a hold on the market, and they feel like they're in a position to kind of really set their prices and kind of do what it is that they want to do. Um, I think that the problem with that is because they're able to really kind of write their own terms or write their own whatever you want to consider, kind of write their own destiny in that regard. It once again, it's the consumer that ultimately pays for it. It's the consumer that ultimately is the one that has to suffer in regards to it. I probably don't will never in my lifetime ever see something that I bought 5, 6, 7 years ago appreciate in value the way that my PlayStation has. I don't think that I've never seen that before in my lifetime. So that'll be interesting to see how that continues to play out going into this, this soon to be potential next generation of gaming consoles. Um, but it doesn't surprise me. And I say that because we've seen the writing on the wall for quite some time. Obviously the increase of the consoles uh, by hundreds of dollars, the increase in some games price point wise. It was a matter of time before they rose the prices um, on their gaming offers or their gaming service, if you will. Um, what's funny is you look in contrast to what Asha is doing over in Xbox, and she's lowering the price of Xbox Game Pass and enough to where I re up for my Ultimate subscription. I'm happy I did so. But with that being said, it's a very 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 arrogant thing of PlayStation to do. Very arrogant, and they don't care. I don't. I think that's at the end of the day, they don't care. They look at it that they have to find a way to continue to offset costs of running the company, and that's their answer. And I think that's the answer that you would expect them to have. But the truth of the matter is, this is a billion-dollar industry, and they're doing just fine. They could leave the price point of their consoles where they are, and people are buying them, and they'll be just fine. So it's the world that we live in. It's the economy that we're in. It's the fact that people are going to flock and people are going to buy it. If you build it, they will come. The people will find a way to go out there and get it, and they're convinced of that. So they're saying, hey, we're going to keep raising our prices, and there's an arrogance to it because people have continued to support them, and people will continue to support them into the future. So unless you can prove to me why I shouldn't do it, there's no reason for me not to.
PlayStation. And then the fact was not we didn't even mention the fact that their releases are scarce, and Xbox is, again, we're still having this conversation years
There's
in.
nothing, yeah.
Yeah, Xbox is
There's nothing to even
trouncing
talk
them on the
about with it.
Xbox is trouncing them on the software end, but still can't figure it out why they still don't. Again, 50 years down the line, someone's going to say and look at this, maybe for a thesis for their college paper or whatever, and go, why didn't Xbox come out on top in the console wars in the 2020s? It just boggles the mind how many doors that PlayStation and Nintendo, for a lesser effect, on have left open that Xbox could have just walked through, and with the right things happening and the right brain trust into it, could have done so much better with this generation. But still, again, we're at where we're at.
But they weren't, we talked about it. They weren't interested in beating them in console sales. We talked about that. They were more worried about the ecosystem. They were more worried about this is an Xbox and that whole direction. And rather right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what they wanted to try to do. And so they weren't interested in beating them in console sales. They weren't interested in being the number one console. They were interested in being the number one brand in the home. They were interested in being in everybody's library in some fashion, way, shape, or form. And I think they have to be, applauded for trying to find a way to maintain relevancy, especially when, the market share was so dominated by PlayStation, dominated by Nintendo. I can applaud them for trying to do something. It did not work, and actually, I think it ultimately alienated their fan base even more. It definitely alienated me even more from the Xbox brand. However, I can appreciate trying to find ways to stay in the fight without necessarily fighting that fight. Okay, I want to find my own lane, and I'm okay with Xbox trying. What I'm not okay with is them forgetting who they are in the process and what makes Xbox Xbox, and that's including, some great franchises, some great IPs that they've allowed to now be present on other consoles and other ways of playing those games and those IPs. But I can understand. I can understand their whole plight of trying to do something different because, again, Sony and Nintendo have had such a market share for such a long time that they were trying to find their own way and trying to find a way to stay relevant, especially in this digital age where everything is shifting more to digital purchases and digital commerce and everything, streaming everything. So I get it. I 100% get it. I don't like it, but I understand it.
Well, there you go. Again, somebody will still be scratching their head 50 years from now and just saying, what? Can't believe Microsoft, when they're working on their own computer on Microsoft 32 or whatever it is that comes out, Windows 32, excuse me. So I'll just say again, it comes right down to it. So many missed opportunities for Xbox, and they have only themselves to blame because they right now are in a great place software wise. better than anyone else in the industry right now, because we have yet to see what 2K is going to do with Rockstar and GTA 6, which we'll talk about here in a second. But in fact, let's do it now before we get into your thoughts on Forza and what's going on, because I know that you had some thoughts on Forza. I'll say GTA 6 was supposed to, everybody was anticipating, because I guess because of a leaked email that came to certain individuals in regards to, a preview coming up here with a trailer with a chance to pre order starting on the 18th of May. No, sorry. Just another fake rumor out there. Are you starting to get concerned that GTA 6 is kind of up in the air at this point on whether or not it's going to come out this year or not?
No, I'm not concerned about that at all. I think the bigger thing was that I think this is just really part of their marketing genius. I really do. I think that they're the ones that are leaking the information. I think they're the ones that are leaking the little bits here and the little bits there and trying to get people to anticipate the actual announcement for pre-orders to start. I wouldn't be surprised if they stealth release it and just, all of a sudden you look up one day and oh, they started accepting pre-orders today. I'd be shocked if they didn't do that. But again, we're looking. There's nothing that 2K or that Rockstar can do that is going to make this game fail. Like there's no. Like I think it is. I think it is statistically almost impossible for this game to fail. Um, sort of it literally blowing up your console as soon as you put the disc in, or as soon as you download the game. Like this is going to be the biggest release, and there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. But I think this is all just marketing. I really do. And I think it's great marketing. It keeps people talking. It keeps you relevant. It keeps them anticipating. The anticipation just continues to build, and it builds, and it builds to a fervor. So I I have no notes. I love it. I really do. I think this just goes to show the power of social media. I think this goes to show, um, and honestly, one of the things that they're probably going to exploit in the game itself is real news, fake news, people just putting out stuff for clickbait, and it's such a window into the world that we live in currently that it's actually really really funny, almost in a satirical way. It's I love it, man. I really do.
But what, as far as the success has to be for GTA 6 in order to actually achieve that status? I mean, the rumor is that development costs might have reached $1 billion to $1.5 billion, and if that's the case, let's just say they're 80, or even let's just say they're $100, and they tried to sell them at $100. That's still a lot of units you have to go ahead and try and get and sell.
Well, you also have to think about longevity. I mean, how long we've been talking about Grand Theft Auto 5? Grand Theft
Yeah.
Auto 5 was back on the Xbox 360. So if we're looking at sales, are we looking at sales through just this generation? Are we looking at sales through this generation and next generation's console? Or what about three console generations from now? Like GTA 5 is a behemoth, don't get me wrong, but it's also been on three generations of consoles. So I'd have to imagine that Grand Theft Auto 6, when it's all said and done, will have found its way onto multiple generations of consoles, no different than GTA 5, and no different than the previous GTAs before that. I mean, yes, it's gonna have to sell quite a bit, but it's got a long time to sell. It doesn't need to make $1 billion in sales on day one. It'll probably do a nice chunk of change though.
Well, we will wait and see what happens with GTA 6, but the pre-orders are not available, unfortunately, right now
Not
for
quite
people
yet.
to go ahead and
Not
get.
quite yet.
Not quite yet, but I did, as I told you, pre-order 007 First Light for the
Nice.
first time in 10 years. It is 10 years because Uncharted 4 just had its 10th
Yep,
anniversary. So,
sure did.
yeah, so we will wait and see.
It
But
looks
if you have
great, man.
thoughts, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's a game definitely looking forward to that I know is coming out next week, but that's our discussion for next week and beyond. But what are your thoughts out there on GTA 6? Can you not wait any longer? Are you excited for it? I mean, I can just tell people the old stories from when I used to run game stores, and when GTA 4 came out, my store was not given the allotment. They were running late. They actually had to wait the FedEx plane They actually had to go into Las Vegas McCarran Airport at that point in time and get it in order to give it to our stores. And they were so late that I had to give out over $2,000 in refunds and
Mm,
send people down the street to Walmart to buy them before I finally got my copies later in the afternoon. And I was like, gee, thanks. All right. There you go. And you wonder why Game Crazy is out of business. And I'll just leave it at that. But with that, what are your thoughts out there on GTA 6? Let me know out there. But you also want to talk about Forza early preview numbers. So
oh yeah, man.
when
Hmm.
you say this about Forza, what are you
Hmm.
looking at as far as early preview numbers, my friend? Because Forza's out, it's in the wild. Forza Horizon 6, it's the highest rated game of 2026 right now. I think it's sitting at a Metacritic at 92 or 93.
Yeah,
91
crazy.
it's been reduced to, but it's still the highest game out there. And that's with Yoshi and the Mysterious Book that came out, 81, solid right there. Legacy of the Dark Knight, 84. Very solid numbers right there.
Hmm.
I haven't as of yet updated our numbers. I'm kind of letting it chill for now so we can go ahead and start doing the bragging rights a little bit later on in the summer. But your thoughts, my friend? You wanted to talk a little bit more about Forza Horizon 6 now that's out in the wild and people are really
Yeah.
excited about this and the fact that Forza has evolved in the way that Gran Turismo has not.
Well, I think that you're looking at two different beasts, two different types of the same kind of beast, if you will. But before we get into that, I think the numbers speak for themselves, and I think this is kind of what Xbox was really aiming for. And this is what I mean. If you look at the pre-release numbers for Forza Horizon 6, just hours before it was officially fully launched in the US, it had a player base install of 1.68 million players before the game fully launched. That is an insane number of players who put up money to play the pre-release version of the game. So this is before the Game Pass, and we're talking about they paid $60 for an upgrade to the Game Pass version of the title, or they paid 120
For early
bucks. Like they've
access.
paid for early access, for early access. So for early access, they had 1.68 million players putting in extra money just to have early access to it. They did something right, man. They did something right. I think the setting was perfect. I haven't had the chance to play it yet. It downloaded while I was at work, so I'm looking forward to at least getting a race in maybe tonight before I lay my head down. But I think it just goes to kind of show that Xbox had this idea that we can kind of bring more players in and get more people excited about our games. And then maybe in getting excited about the games, they would turn around and get excited about the hardware again. I don't know. But 1.68 million before an official launch is nothing to shake a stick at. That's some really, really darn good numbers. So I'm excited. And like you said, the Metacritic scores of 91. I mean, IGN gave it a 10 out of 10. Now, granted, IGN's been giving out a lot of 10 out of 10s lately, so I'm not sure what changed with those guys. And that's nothing. That's not to attack IGN. It's just an interesting switch for them. Um, but it's getting very, 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 very favorable scores across the board, and that's something exciting to see. And when we kind of compare it to, I guess your nearest competition would really be Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo would probably be more of a competition for Forza Motorsport than Forza Horizon. That probably more Need for Speed, if you
Yeah,
will.
I
But
agree with you on that.
yeah. But it doesn't change the fact that um, Gran Turismo is just kind of stayed true to who it's always been, and it's been a very hard or very realism-driven sports simulation, as opposed to an arcade racer. And Forza said there's a place for that, there's a place for that, and we're gonna address that as well. But we're also going to make sure that we give people that want a bit more of an arcade friendly, still a very very nuanced experience. Don't get me wrong, it's still Forza, but it's a much more palatable Forza, and it's much more generally receptive for people that don't really have the time to dedicate to understanding hairpin turns and how to release tire pressure in their front tires and to allow more grip on a turn. There's aspects of it that they're just not interested in dealing with. And for those players, you have Forza Horizon. And here we are, 1.68 million players before launch. Clearly, they did something right. So,
The success of Forza is just another, I guess, padding onto Microsoft for what they've done software wise, getting their act together
mhm.
on this half of the decade. I think it started with Indiana Jones and it's just kept on rolling from there. So continued success, hopefully, for Xbox. And then to figure out whether or not they want to do exclusives. So I know that's something that they talked about recently as far as in social media with Asha Sharma. Um, I wouldn't mind that going back to the exclusives, but the problem is you don't have a console install base large enough to support it. Or you don't have a plan to roll out. Let's say, okay, we're going to make everything exclusive going forward, and we're also going to cut the price of the S back down to $299 and the X to $499, or something that they would go ahead with an advertising
Um,
campaign on as well.
well, give them a chance. I mean,
Okay.
she's already been in a whirlwind situation where she's already come in and slashed the price of Game Pass, slashed the price of not slash yeah, slash the price of Game Pass, and it has really been trying to rein Xbox community back in. Yes, just give her some time. I mean, she's earned right. She's earned the right thus far. I mean, people are already kind of singing her praises, so we'll see. We'll see. There's still plenty of time.
We will see indeed. But if you have thoughts on the success of Forza Horizon 6, doing extremely well on the Xbox and Game Pass format and PC as well, please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. But instead of the retro review, you wanted to go ahead and discuss some deals for gamers out there this Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've talked quite a bit about um, how they don't like to give us any deals, how they don't like to. Everything's costing more. We were just talking about now. Everything, the price of everything has gone up, and it's disheartening. So, what I wanted to do was look at some game deals that we can find. And obviously, depending on when you're listening to this show, it doesn't necessarily mean that the game deals are still going to be there. So let's be very, very clear about that. But there are some great deals to be had on some of these games out there. Like I'm looking at across at a few of them now, and you can go through the Xbox Marketplace, or you can go through the PlayStation Store, and you can see quite a bit in their bank about what you can find game wise. But you can look elsewhere online. I'm looking at Amazon. They've got that newly released John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. That's got that marked down to $24.99 right now. Currently, that's a game that just came out maybe two months ago. At this point, I want to say about 60 days, and it got good
Mm-hmm.
reviews. It was a fun game. I enjoyed it. I don't think I finished it, but I definitely did enjoy it. But we looked at that. You look at other places. I get deals sent to my mailbox, which is a very good thing, but a very scary thing at the same time. Because in getting those deals, I get really itchy trigger fingers, and I want to buy it, buy it, buy it. I currently have a copy of Resident Evil Requiem that I got for a deal that I haven't even broken the cellophane on yet. So shame on me. But my point in saying that for the happy comic hoarder or the happy game hoarder that is Tremaine, there are deals to be had out there. I'm looking at, just recently at your, local Costco, they marked down a lot of the Nintendo Switch titles, including Metroid Prime 4. They marked that down to $30. They marked that down to $30. They marked down Donkey Kong Bonanza. They marked down Pokemon games. Like there are deals out there. I think what we have to do is just be willing to do a little bit of legwork and finding some. So, in light of doing some legwork, I've done some legwork and I found some deals for you that I'm going to bring to you right now. So, first and foremost, as we talked about, Metroid Prime 4, if you go to GameStop right now, it's currently listed at $34.99 for a brand new copy of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. And this is the Switch 2 version, not the Switch 1 version. So, there's that. If you can also go to GameStop and currently purchase a version of Pokemon Legends Z through A for $35 at GameStop. Again, these are first party Nintendo titles, and you don't typically see those things marked down very often, and especially at that price point. That's a very, very great price. There's a lot of pre-orders that are able to be done as well. I'm currently looking at. There's also Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age, which is a PS4 release, but that's on the PSN network now for 14.99. Gerald and I were both speaking about a lot of the Battlefield titles through EA being marked down phenomenally low. We're talking a
You can get
dollar, two
less than
dollars,
$3, less than
less than
$3.
$3.
Some even under $1, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, yeah,
Battlefield
absolutely.
Hardline 1, 4, I guess what 5 as well. Battlefield 2042. A lot of
Hmm.
those are marked down to, like I said, under $3 to as low as $1. Super Meat Boy, I just checked on the Epic Mega Sale. That's $1 if you want the original. If you want some pain in your life because of how hard it is, go grab it for $1 right now on Epic, as far as the Epic store right there. So yeah, if you're into some pain on that, I also know that they also reduced 2K's standbys, Grand Theft Auto 5 down to 50. We talked about that, $15 if you haven't. You're like the only person on the planet that doesn't have it yet. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is down to $15 as well. But the games I want to talk to you about, as far as if you are still into sports, but you don't have those sports titles, this is probably the best time of the year to get Madden 26 and NBA 2K26 while they are still somewhat relevant, because they're both under $20 right now as well, TJ.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you're also looking in the market to still pick up some of the older Resident Evil titles, you got Resident Evil 7, the Gold Edition. That's going for $15 on Amazon right now. So that's releasing all the DLC content, the Winter's content, making it a third-person perspective. Or sorry, that wasn't. You couldn't do that in 7. You had to do that in 8. If I remember correctly. I'm not even sure. Point is, Gold Edition, Resident Evil 7, 14.99, and that's through Games. I'm sorry, that's through Amazon. I think they have it for the same price at GameStop as well. Hitman World of Assassination, which was essentially a compilation of all the Hitman titles as of recent from IO Software. But that's currently going for 19.99 on Amazon Prime. So I say that to say there are deals that can be found out there. You have to do a little bit of legwork. And I've gotten to the stage in my life where I'm fine buying a game. Um, I find myself buying games even if I don't have the time to play them, which I really don't have time anymore, not nearly as often as I once did. But because I enjoy gaming and I enjoy having the option to game when I am able to, I have to be very, very diligent about looking for deals. So as I find deals as one of your pop culture Cosmo uh, whatever, co-host, whatever you want to call me, as somebody that loves you as a listener for Pop Culture Cosmos, it is my duty to pass these savings on along. So as I find them, and when we record, I will make sure to pass them on. It's just another way. Look, we got to help each other, man. I'm a gamer. I want help. You guys are gamers. You guys are pop culture enthusiasts. You guys love the stuff that we love, and you deserve something back. So if I TJ Johnson can do anything to help you, that's what I'm gonna do. So
Well,
expect
you
more
are a
deals.
host of the show. I can tell you that you're a fellow host like I am. So that's what
Mhm.
it should be. But yes, I appreciate the fact that doing any kind of due diligence and searching for good deals out there in the world of gaming. When right now, and based in this economy, we certainly need some good deals right now. Indeed.
Yes, we do. Absolutely. So as I get more, I'll make sure I share them with you guys as well.
And I also want to mention, of course, if you don't have Xbox, Game Pass, or PlayStation Plus, also check out the free weekly deals. As far as Epic,
Mhm.
they give away 1 or 2 games each and every week that you might have interest in. I have achieved and amassed a large library of games based on that alone on Epic, as far as it's concerned. And then also as well, Amazon. If you have Amazon Prime, they give sometimes as or they have as many as 10, 12, 13, 14 games sometimes available out there for you to get for free on various sites. They'll have like keys that you could go to GOG.com and get that free game there, or they'll just have it straight off their Luna service. So yeah, take a look at that on if you're an Amazon Prime holder as well.
Absolutely. And just so that you know that when I tell you that I am a hoarder when it comes to games. When I tell you that I am a game hoarder, I am currently on my Xbox app. And on my Xbox app, it tells me exactly how many games I have in my collection.
Uh-oh.
If you were to take a guess, now mind you, this collection spans Xbox 360, whatever games that they are allowing us to bring over. So Xbox 360, Xbox One, original Xbox, the OG box, the Duke, the original Xbox, Xbox One, Xbox Series S, X, whatever the case may be. If you and all the games will go, this is taking everything. If you were to take all of that, every one of those games, how many games do you think? Just take a guess. I have a gamer score of over 136,000. So I've been doing this for a while. How many games do you think I have in my library?
I'd say 238.
238 what? Games?
Yes.
That's it? Oh man, that's very disrespectful, Gerald.
All
So
right, just guessing.
I'm gonna show you. Don't freak out. Don't freak out.
Okay. Not bad. Not bad. 1394. Oh, you have iDarb too. Yes. I remember I got that a long time ago. Yes. iDarb still shows up today in my library.
So that my point in telling you this is that I need to find deals because 1,394 games, that's a lot of money over a lot of course of years.
Yes,
So now granted, some of those are Game Pass as well. So let me be very clear. It's not quite that much, but that's still a really crazy number. It's crazy. I need a life.
That's for sure. That's for sure indeed. You and I both as well. So for TJ Johnson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping that you have yourself a great day.
Don't be alarmed. The quasi-shimmering light before you is a trans-dimensional gateway to other worlds, other voices, other thoughts, and other realities. Up feels like down, and down feels like the number 7 on a Wednesday morning. Don't worry. That quivering, blood-boiling sensation under your eyebrows is all a part of the charm. Welcome to the PCC Multiverse.